amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed.
And the only way I can is poverty of mind and poverty of the pocket. Because guys, somebody makes you promises by mouth. I'm going to make sure that when we come to power, things will be well. We're going to create a level playing ground. Everybody will prosperous. Than somebody who sees $20,000 plus 10 plus 10 plus 15, all kinds of monies that have been mentioned. So they just succumb. That's the only way. Then two is the impact of the leadership, executive leadership at different states. The leaders of those groups give them order. One person told me when I went to campaign, he said, Mazi Sam, you're such a wonderful guy. We wonder where people like you have been. However, I see all this way you are talking to will not do anything for you. He was so plain in one of the Southwest. Me, say, Professor, all of us can't do nothing for you. Go and meet the man who is our commander, who is like what they call, they say, the owners of the delegates. I said the last time I heard about owners was during slavery in the U.S., slave owners. Do you mean that there are delegate owners? They said yes.
Would you say that also revealed just how, will I say, I'm looking for the right word now, how naive you were about just how your party truly works?
Yeah, it's not my party. It's how the whole system works. No, the smaller the party, the worse. Because in the smaller party, they expect me to bring all the money to set up the system. Where am I going to get the money from? It's worse in the smaller parties. This one, you already have a system. You can even have people to talk to.
No, I'm just saying you're not a new member of the PDP, are you?
Yes, so what I'm saying is not being naive. It is a question of being optimistic and hopeful that things do change. My sister, things do change. They say if you are not in the market, you never meet the good market day. If you are waiting at home to know the good market day, you not. You go to the market, you meet bad market, you be good market. I was hoping I was going to meet good market. And the game is not lost.
Okay.
Because
it's because the reason I'm asking this is because of the revelations you're making in terms of how people told you that you should go to the owners of the delegates, etc., etc. And you said that, well, the last time I heard about owners was in the time of slavery.
Yes.
So it does show that maybe you didn't quite understand just what had been in place before now. That's what I'm asking.
Well, it is the question of being optimistic. That things do change. When you chip at them, when you have the Shehu Shanis, when you have all those who have come, who've tried, you were hoping, and when you come through the system you've come through, and the experience you have, you just hope that things will get better. I wasn't expecting that it was going to be a dramatic change.
Okay, so let me also pose this, because, you know, before now there had been permutations. Your party decided to throw this open and jettison zoning.
Yeah.
And I do know that the Southeast did make a pretty strong appeal towards that. There was a Greater Nigeria conference which which was held across political parties, and we saw a lot of Southeast aspirants attending that particular conference. It didn't seem to have made any impact, at least not within the PDP. How do you think that the results that emerged from your party, what do you think it portends for the unity? I know that the current candidate is, coming out and saying that he's the unifier, etc., etc. But what do you think it portends for the unity of the party and also the country?
There is a fragility. And that's speaking the truth. This country has been known to operate on north-south, even within the constitutions of the party, north-south, zoning or rotation. Now, if we have a place where we have jettisoned side, that's a consequence. I said that from the beginning, that the party must be sure that it has considered the pros and cons of the party is superior to my wish or individual wish. It can take its decision, but be ready to live with it. For certain, there are going to be centrifugal forces that will are unleashed because of the way things are working. So it creates a great challenge for the presidential candidate in our own party, Atiku, and I don't know who will emerge in other parties, to make a conscious effort, because I'm saying this over and over again. The only hope we have for change in Nigeria is that the leader that emerges, it doesn't matter how he emerged, just decide to say, I've emerged through this corrupt system. I'm going to bring it to an end. have emerged through this system that's inequitable, it's full of injustice. I'm going to correct it. That's why I still refer to President Yar'Adua, bless his memory. Yeah. He stated, he admitted, because the redemption starts with accepting and then confessing, and then you become able to receive. So we believe that there's going to be some issues, both as a South and as a Southeast. Of course, as you saw, the Southeast, despite all that we say, didn't show unity in the election that you saw. Most of the Southeast delegates voted for non-Southeast people. So that created more confusion. And even before now, when this case was being fought, some of our Southeast leaders were already supporting other candidates who are not South. So it's even confused the party people to decide, should we give this to the Southeast? They don't seem to be united. If their leaders are already rooting for other people, what should we do? So that also, I think, must have affected the parties from taking a final decision.
Well, Senator Sonny, so from the onlookers, as it were, they see a party, PDP, your chairman is from the north. Now your presidential candidate is also from the north. And there's this fragility that Mazi has even referred to in the nation, the thinking, saying, let it go to the south, even the southeast. And it's been on and on. What do you think this does for the optics of politics in Nigeria?
Well, you see, you are trying to tally morality and politics in two ways. The problem we have is that each time you try to bring the ingredients of morality into politics, you will be confronted by realities that are opposed to what you're trying to do. Ideally, this is a country that has come through storms and turbulence. And those who prescribe the idea of rotation of power is to ensure equity, that all parts of the country should be able to produce a leader. And knowing the demographic disadvantages as it is, variations, there are parts of the country that if you leave it open, it will be impossible for them to produce a leader. And if you look at the theory or hypothesis behind quota system, it's about that. Yeah. A section of the country is seen to be educationally advantaged, and one section is educationally disadvantaged. And quota system was introduced to protect the weak and those who were behind. But we have accepted that as part of a national policy, laws, and our constitution. But in politics, we refuse to accept that. So the idea of zoning or rotating power is to tackle some of these issues that have threatened our existence as unity as a country, and that is continuously becoming a problem to us. Mazi is from the southeastern part of Nigeria. Likewise, likewise Peter Obi and Bonna Onu and others. But if we are going to be realistic with ourselves, that is the only part of the country that in the last 22 years has neither produced a president or a vice president. And that part of the country is now, there are people in that part of the country that are taking advantage of the fact that if we are not wanted here, then we should leave. So if you disappoint Mazi, you are falling into the hands of separatists. So in a situation like this, we must put it in our constitution. We must include in our constitution, in our laws, how these issues can be addressed. If we throw it open, certainly there are parts of the country that will never smell or taste power for a very long time. I come from the most populous zone, which is northwestern part of Nigeria. And I believe that if every zone is to be judged based on the number of people that either registered to vote or voted, my own part of the country will continue to produce a leader for as long as possible.
Which is why
but the problem we have is this, that of what use is it if we say this is a democracy, and then one part of the country continues to dominate political leadership. Yeah. But like he has said, there is a political culture, and you get through it, and you reform the process.
That's all.
There were so many expectations when Buhari came into office that there will be reforms. Being a man who has struggled, who has fought for many years to be on the throne, and he became. So it was expected that he will stamp his feet and march on forces, entrenched forces, and even offend so many people to do what is right. But each time in this country, you bring the idea of electoral reform, whether it is through West Panel or Nnamdi or anybody, you will see a lot of resistance, whether it's electronic voting, whether it's PVC, whether it is direct primaries, because people see electoral reform as an attack on their own power base.
Yes.
There is no inch of a Nigeria, the land called Nigeria, is no inch that is not controlled by a godfather. You can see if you are moving from here to Kaduna, you see the bush where bandits are.
But
there's a political godfather that controls that area.
Interesting.
Yes.
Particularly now, I'm talking about the fragility. Do you think it further puts it in a precarious situation if this goes north again from 2023?
No. Well, for now, the political leaders of the opposition party have already, and the party has resolved and has voted for its candidate. So the expectation now is that the new leader who will emerge as a president, and that should be Atiku Abubakar, being a man who has been in a position of power for a very long time with such experience and profile, he has a historic duty to do what Buhari has failed to do, for equity and for justice. Even at least for once, let us have a system where all Nigerians will feel that they have a stake in the enterprise called Nigeria.
In fact, let's go south now to our Lagos studio for equity and fairness. My colleagues would like to ask you a few questions.
Speaking of equity and fairness, I'd like to take you back a bit to Marquez's point, and closely related to that is the Southern Middle Belt's reaction to the outcome of the primaries, saying that it is an affront and that the political elite does not consider the unity of the country to be important. And closely related to that, Mazi, is the Southeast agitation for a presidency of Southeastern extraction. But if we look at the outcome of the results, you got 1 vote, and Senator Ayimpa Asayim, who is also of Southeast extraction, got 14 votes. What does this say about the seriousness of the clamor for a presidency of Southeast extraction?
Well, for me, like I said, I was disappointed, and many Nigerians are disappointed. I think the people of the Southeast are serious about it. They should have shown so by the election. But the truth is that those who elected, the few that elected, do not represent the Southeast at all. As Comrade Sheikh Hussaini said, how did they come to be? Many of them were selected, some were elected. So the small number, the majority opinion does not represent what we see. So we will not read this to mean that the Southeast is not interested. They are. The mainstream people do, the youths want, and the rest of the people of the Southeast. But it is true that the symbolism exhibited by these people who voted is condemnable, because I wouldn't see how I would come to people will come and they will not vote for the Southeasterners, whatever influence. Even if it's money, there must be some considerations bigger than money. You can collect money and still vote your conscience or show that you truly want this movement. So I do believe that at the end of the day, rationality and, like Shehu has said, let the emergent presidential candidates and ultimate president of the country, again, as we all agreed, must be the PDP candidate. Let him decide. That's what history will remember him for, to reform the electoral system and give the people of Nigeria
Just 1 second. You said earlier, Mazi, just 1 second.
The electoral
Just 1 second, Mazi. You said earlier that, following up on Bukola's questions just now, you said that, well, you said that you were disappointed. But then you also spoke to the seeming disunity within the rank and file of the Southeast. So perhaps that's the question that Bukola is asking. if there is such a disunity, so to speak, and you said that many people also didn't particularly agree whether or not to go in a particular tangent, doesn't that also suggest that it's just talk, a desire, not necessarily a will to actually select someone of Southeast extraction? Even though it is a clamor, there seems to be no unity as to whether or not and to whom should have been put forward by the Southeast unitedly.
Well, the thing is that is symptomatic of what goes on. I'll give you an example. The South people, the leader Feni Ferayo Adebayo has said the Southwest should should not contest. But they are not Southwestern people contesting, you know. So it's just that there's a kind of discordance between what the political elites want or are saying and what the people are saying. That dichotomy exists even in the national. What the country wants and what the political elite wants sometimes do not agree. So I agree in essence that it gives a sense of lack of unity. It does. And those who say so cannot be blamed because the evidence seems to suggest so. But let's not worry about what these 90 people or 96 people or 100 people who voted. Let's think about the majority of the people. And even not thinking about that, they didn't even, the call for equity, justice and fair play just says that do the right thing for the people. It doesn't matter whether they are fighting for it or not. Let every child, let every person in the country get his due share. Let's consider the weak. Let's consider the disadvantaged, those who cannot yell or shout. We must not deny them that opportunity because we must give them a sense of ownership so that they can bring their best. This country needs everybody pulling together to pull us out of this economic doldrum that we have and move us to a prosperous nation that we desire for all, that is safe and secure. And if you do not enthrone justice, then peace is threatened.
So, Mazi, just one more from here, from me. You know, we've seen the statements from Ohanaeze saying, well, they will not back the winner of the PDP primaries. They will not go too far ahead. What do you think is the implication of all that you said about the party giving a very serious consideration to a candidate or an aspirant of Southeast extraction? Is this likely going to have any major impact on the chances of Atiku Abubakar in the future?
Well, it depends on how the party handles it. Every situation can be handled as bad as it could be. And I would like to offer my suggestion to my party leadership using this platform. That yes, what has happened, and the Southeast people are not happy, the mainstream, and other Nigerians who consider justice, equity, and fair play as an important ingredient to bring Nigeria back to where we want it to go. So it is now left to the party leadership to take whatever preemptive action they need to take to assuage the Southeast and the South and whatever other people that feel they are being left out. It is the responsibility of our presidential candidate Atiku and the leadership to do that. If they don't, certainly every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Right. And you can't beat a child and tell the child not to cry.
Well, some will then say that it makes sense that Mr. Peter Obi left the PDP before the primaries because maybe the same fate will have been his portion as well. But I'm curious, would you be willing to accept maybe a vice presidential slot? Well,
the issue is that, as I said in 2019, what happened today happened in 2019. There's nothing new. It's the same system. So we cannot pretend that it's just a new development. But the issue is that I have volunteered, I have a heart to serve Nigeria. I'm willing to make the sacrifice. And whatever opportunity presents, I will certainly consider it. It's not about me, it's about redeeming this country. It's about creating future for our children and grandchildren. It's about uniting us and making us emerge as a globally competitive nation that will be at peace with itself and respected. So whatever role that God grants me to advance that vision, I will gladly I will gladly take.
Interesting. We're winding down now, but Senator, I need you to land on a point you were making earlier. You were talking about forests and how these forests have even godfathers. Am I right?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say literally is that every inch of the territory called Nigeria is controlled by a certain godfather, whether it's local or statewide or regional. So in that respect, those godfathers will always see attempt to reform our elections as being an intrusion into their own power base. But this is a historic opportunity for the opposition to get to power and do what is right. And what is right specifically is exercising the evil of money in politics that will make it easier, simpler, and possible for men and women of integrity to aspire for public office and be elected into office. That is the only way we can go about it. The election, the primaries has come and gone. Let us rally round the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, for him to reform Nigeria, for him to restore peace, order, and do what is right for this country. The ruling party has done what they could. For 8 years, you have seen what you have seen. And I believe that it is time to have a new person in power to ensure that this country is united, secured, so that we can move ahead.
But don't forget that the ruling party has its own primaries next week. And it was just before your primary that INEC moved the deadline for the for conducting primaries and the submission of names. Do you think that maybe gives an undue advantage or maybe puts you at a disadvantage? I wonder how you took in the whole shifting of the deadline.
You see, in other countries, the opposition tries to wait for what the ruling party will do. But in this situation, you can see the APC is always waiting for what the PDP will do. They don't even know where their chairman will come from until the PDP decided they should go to the North Central, and then they followed and sent to the North Central. They decided before that they were going to shift power to southern part of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Then later, there was this that we have not decided and it is open. And now you see them, they kept changing their timetable in order to wait to see what the opposition is going to do. And right now, they are so confused. They don't even know whether to zone power or to leave it open. They are so indecisive. And you can even see the extension of this INEC timetable is more to their own favor because they can't even screen their candidates. They just don't know what to do. You need to take a decision. You are in charge of Nigeria. You are a ruling party. You should be the first setter. But it appears that this is not the case. Someone from northern part of Nigeria has been the president for 8 years from a ruling party. So if logically you should send it to the south, the opposition party may not be obliged to do that because they want to win election.
Yeah.
They want to win election. And you have to have the power before you think of rotating it or not rotating it. So that is why the Atiku factor now has been able to play. But now they even don't know what to do.
Well, clearly you're also watching what's going on in the main party. In fact, we've seen headlines. I think Governor Mazi is saying that he'll defeat your candidate before 12 noon on election day. So it looks like even the main party, APC, is quite sure of getting this. So you're watching clearly. Do you think that they might also maybe throw this open or just zone it to a certain region?
From what we have seen, the APC is follow. They don't have the confidence to create initiative. They don't have initiative. They want to do, and find a way to outsmart PDP.
Isn't that what the game is about, really?
Well, that's what it is. But the issue is then that there is an uncertainty as to what they want to do. Maybe they will follow the example of the PDP did not zone to the north, but they treat open. And because of all the other consideration we have seen, Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency, has emerged. So if they throw it open and we follow the same trajectory, maybe somebody else may emerge, who has some of those factors that we spoke about. It's uncertain, but I think what Shehu is saying is that there ought to be a leader. Right now, the PDP is the leader. So it's leading and APC is following.
Okay, well, I expected that, clearly. It's politics, but I think we have to anchor at this point. The coming days will be quite interesting. But I would like to thank you so much, Mazi Samuel Habua, PDP presidential aspirant, and it was good seeing you on the floor and following the whole process. I think hopefully a lot of people are influenced and motivated by that, as well as Senator Shehu Sani, who's a PDP governorship aspirant as well for Kaduna State. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We'll kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.